What is going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday, BobbyFi with my man Eric Sheets-Haber. We are going to be talking a little baseball, although honestly, Sheets is killing it with the NHL, and I'll let him talk a little bit about that in a minute. But I cannot get a combination right. Like I had the Yankees right, look, the Yankees put up plenty of points last night, at least solid enough. Anyway, and I just get the pitching wrong, or then I get the hitting. I just cannot get it worked out. Let's turn it around today. I really, really am tired of this. I hate losing, and it's been frustrating. But Sheets, tell me about your night yesterday, and then we'll jump into today's slate.
Yeah, baseball was a little rough because I really just I had 40% Jesus Quintana, and I also had 83% what's his name, Lucas Giolito. So with that as a start, it's kind of difficult to get much going on. Yankees finally got there. They were fine. Baseball is baseball, and baseball is tough. That's the way it goes. And hockey is like I don't even almost want to comment on it. I play. I've been using my spreadsheets. I did like a 5-minute video on literally how I build my lineups. And I played like the 180. No, it wasn't. It was the 200s, like the biggest buy-in in hockey, like one lineup. And I played it like literally 3 times this week. And I have a first, a second, and a second. So I don't know. Maybe there is something to how I'm doing it. But we're gonna keep playing one lineup a night until I go on a losing streak. Let's say that.
Yeah.
And we'll see. But you know what? It's all sports are the same. You know, you've tried to make good plays that are as low owned as you can, and make sure that they correlate in the appropriate way for the sport that you're playing. And fortunately, it's been working enough in hockey to make up for where it has not been working, which has been baseball and basketball. So we'll see if we can't turn the baseball and basketball piece around, well, just in time for the hockey for me to regress back to normalcy.
Hey, you know what? If it turns around baseball and basketball because of the amount of if you get some seconds there, I think you'll take it.
Yeah.
We're talking. All right, why don't you pull up your screen and we can go game by game here?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let me.
I do have one quick, just from an overall slate perspective.
Yep.
I think there's 5 viable pitchers on DraftKings, and
I have 5 as well. So I wonder if they're the same.
And I think that there's 2 that are significantly better than the rest for me, but I'm open to other things. So we're going to get into it, starting with this first game. By the way, interesting a little bit, just this first game made me think of it. They definitely looked like they were trying to give Kluber a chance to really get his stuff back yesterday. So I just want to keep an eye on that going forward.
You know, the other thing I wanted to say, I thought about this from a content providing standpoint. You know, one of the things that we kind of fall into that I really hated when other people did it, would they would say, okay, well, I like this guy, but I like a guy a little bit more later. What is actually the gain from like making you wait to hear that? You know what I mean? Like, is the building of suspense, like, is it like that important? Can you just say like, well, you know what, I like this guy later, but and so when I was doing it yesterday, like by myself, I'm like, you know, I like this guy, I like this guy, I like this guy. And then I felt, you know what, we could build a little suspense. I think it's kind of cool to somewhat tell a story also. So I go back and forth on it. But like you said, I mean, when we discuss the slate, we're like, okay, I like this, but we're gonna get to something really good later. Hang on in there. I don't know what the actual benefit to the user is, but you know what? I guess it's fun for us, so and that's most important.
I think that there was a part that might be like a little bit of a tease, but the main reason that I usually say it is that, especially these days in basketball, is that later is a big deal because you end up finding out about 5 other guys who are injured. So anything you like better later is a big advantage.
Let's say, for example, that I knew that, let's just say that I knew that T. Widener was like the top pitcher of the slate, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of me just saying, boy, I like Dean Kramer, but there's another guy coming up that I'm really going to like more. Why can't I just say I like the guy later more? You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just a matter of suspense, and I guess
it's a fair
more fun to us.
Fair enough. We'll try.
In any case,
we'll do our best. Yeah. All right. So jumping into this game real quickly, like if there was a 6th pitcher I'd have, it would be Herman.
Really interesting.
Yeah. I'm willing to, like I told you yesterday with Kluber, even like a little bit, like I think you want to try and target Baltimore. Herman's coming off a nice outing against Cleveland. It's not that I think that he's like super amazing, but I think once he's getting back And I don't think much of these Orioles. I'm just not going to end up doing it. I'm just throwing it out there that he would be the 6th guy for me.
But you know what? You know what's kind of cool though, the way you did it. I do think it's kind of neat this way because I'm like really trying to think of, and this is what I would do when I would just be listening to other content people. I would say, I wonder who that 5 pitchers are, because I'm looking at my pitchers and I'm pretty sure I got at least 2, maybe. I think there's a 5th that you're going to have that I'm not. I think we're going to have 4 of the same.
I completely agree.
But I don't know if it's who you think it's going to be though. This is like almost like John playing Laden thinks. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think of what you think that I think. All right, we're going to see what's going on. You guys should write down who do you guys think are each of our top 5 pitchers? I have 5 top ones, and Bobby has top ones. You could pause this and then write it down, then you can restart it again. All right, you guys back? All right, good. So Herman would be maybe on the outside looking in. He's not exactly one of your top guys, though.
Yes.
Okay. Anything with Dean Kramer and the Yankees or no?
No. And it's a good. I mean, I think it's a good night to stack the Yankees again. Obviously, they're going to be popular. I think there's other stacks that are closer that are close tonight that I don't think that you have to go with the mega chalk, but I think they're going to be chalky. I think it makes some sense. And can I just say about the Yankees? Will you guys just stop? Okay, let's just stop messing around and not playing like Higgy. Like, I mean, come on. What are they doing? This guy is the man. What is going on here? He's the best hitter on the freaking team. And it's like they're not playing him. And they're talking about, I don't know. Well, we'll see if they play him later on. If I were them, I'd be finding a way to, maybe you DH Sanchez or something. I don't know what the hell you do. You just do something to get Higgy in the lineup. So, the Yankee stack makes sense. I think that your preferred plays are really no different. Stanton, Judge, Odor will probably be in the middle of the order tonight. And actually, even though, he didn't have a great night last night, he hit the ball pretty hard. Those are my favorites. And then Urshela is the cheap guy. I mean, it's pretty standard, but again, and we're going to try and want to get different because it's, we got enough games and this is going to be the chalk.
I bet as I start talking with Bobby's going to think, oh my God, why do you pick the days where we have to do 3 sports and 100 games to like stray and like talk about other BS? But I'm just kind of in the mood right now. If anybody out there is chess players and you watch like chess content online, what they usually do is they get to like a position in the game and they say, okay, what would you do in this position? Stop the recording and then you can come back or whatever it is. And that's an interesting way to learn or whatever it is. And so Bobby mentioned that there there's a key stack. Well, why don't we do this? I actually like 3 stacks, like about equally, almost equally at the top. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of secondary stacks. I mean, if you guys are like actual like players that like look on your own, why don't you like write down for yourself who would you think that I think would be like the top 3 stacks and then 5 secondaries and see how close you get. I think it might be an interesting exercise. Like what do you have? Like do you like your stacks, like looking ahead, and do you have like, are the Yankees far and above like maybe one other? Are they 3 of them close? Like where are you at as far as stacks overall on the slate?
I don't know. I like to go through the slate entirely before I decide who's my favorite. But I do. I mean, sometimes I'll have a strong feel right off the bat. But I think Houston, San Diego.
You're giving it away. You're giving it away.
I thought that's what you were telling me to do. I'm confused.
I just said what does it look like? I didn't say who they are.
No, there's 4. There's 4 that I have as pretty significantly ahead of the rest of them.
So I got 3 ahead of the rest. So guys, think about who does Bobby have that I don't? All right, let's get into it. I happen to like the Yankees a lot as well. And the guys that and it's the usual guys, but you do have to obviously be sensitive to who's in and what positions. But like right now, it's Stanton. I don't think Judge is going to play, right? I mean, Judge got removed from the game, I think.
What? Wait, he was in? I mean, did he get removed for just in the 9th inning for defense?
I don't know. It was something. There's a DTD on him in there, so I think he did get removed.
Okay, yeah, I don't know for sure with him, so you'd have to see. But
that's just fine. It just makes it cheaper.
Makes it cheaper, but makes the stack a little bit worse. But yeah.
Urshela, Hicks, Frazier, Torres, Stanton would be my and then obviously, well, DJ LeMahieu, dude, you were right on that because DJ LeMahieu always looks to be the most expensive of all of them.
Yeah.
And he killed the ball a couple of times.
And he was 10% owned, which was nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah. All right. So ready to move on to the next one?
Yeah, I didn't get. By the way, I did not get it to any of the Baltimore.
Yeah, I think that there's a bunch of one-offs that you could, like DJ Stewart is probably your best bet for a one-off.
Yes. Yes.
Maybe you could talk someone into Franco or Mancini or Mullins, but I think for me, or even Hayes, but I think that it would be DJ Stewart for me.
Yeah, I wrote down some runoffs from each position, and DJ Stewart's the only Oriole that showed up anywhere. He's like one of the outfielders.
Yeah, yeah.
You want to go to Washington, Toronto?
We did have a guy in the, Eric Johnson, who I'm just going to give a little shout out to in the chat, and he's always, following us and everything. He's a good dude. He always loves to stack against the top pitchers, but you know what? It actually wasn't terrible last night. He went against Giolito. But if he would have gone against Scherzer, man, he would have made a fortune. Because
I'm gonna shout out to Eric Johnson as well, and I'm gonna shout out to him. He doesn't know I was watching. There was actually another podcast from another site that I was watching, kind of live before lock, and I didn't know that he was on there, because I was just listening on my headset or whatever, and somebody said they were going through the pitch and they said, "Eric Johnson, what are you saying? What, you forgot Matt Harvey?" Well, obviously Eric Johnson is doing a bit here, because if you mention Matt Harvey, like, you obviously don't know what's going on. So Matt Harvey was freaking got there, man. He like shut the Yankees down over there. So, so Eric, I was watching you over there. So for those of you that have been following me, you know the one guy that I'm not playing in this game, and that's going to be Vladimir Guerrero. 3 home runs, 77 RBIs, and a 426 fantasy point game. Toronto does rate to be one of my top 3 stacks, alongside the Yankees and one other. And it's not just because they hit the ball hard off of Scherzer. If anything, I would say that coming back from Scherzer to like a junkier type pitcher, they might actually be ahead of the ball a little bit, and it might be due, for a little regression from that. But nonetheless, they still rate to be a very, very strong play. Tellez, Vladimir Guerrero definitely rates well. Gurriel, Biggio, and if Danny Jansen plays, he's 2K. I mean, I remember I tend to play him a lot anyway. And so Danny Jansen at 2K is certainly worth playing.
Yeah. So I have a feeling that I don't know how it happens. Well, I guess here's how it happens. The prices. It's going to be really hard to stack this Toronto team today, which makes it a great stack. And I think that it's going to keep the ownership lower than it should be. I think there will be ownership. Don't get me wrong. Biggio is going to be extremely popular. I think that he's probably the natural place to start. You want lefties against Fedde, Tellez. Really cheap at first, but then you get into like 5.7 Guerrero, 5.9 Bichette, 5.5 Simeon. I think that they're, and then look, yeah, you could play Gurriel and all that for there's another cheap one, but I kind of like the idea of trying to get some of these high price guys in, and I go the exact opposite. I understand your thoughts for basketball and the going crazy and everything like that, but in baseball, I think it's exactly the opposite. I completely believe in hot streaks. It's such a real thing. It's ridiculous to me, but I don't think it's like a lock that somebody's ever going to have to do anything crazy. And I don't think Vladimir Guerrero is going to be owned enough for where it's going to matter to fade him. So this is one of my top stacks and the first place that I wanted to go today. And like I said, Guerrero, Bichette are the spend ups that I just don't know how many people are going to have. Like, I'm actually curious to see how things shake out later, because there's not like incredible. I mean, there's other value you can use elsewhere, but if I want to play the stack, I want Bichette and Guerrero for the most part. So
Steven Matz is not going to be your 5th.
No.
Pitcher. All right. I mean, it's not going to be for me either, but
yeah.
And I did want to mention, by the way, I mentioned I have 3 top stacks. I also have 5 kind of secondary stacks that I would think about playing either as pivots or as along with it. And I forgot to mention that Baltimore is one of those second stacks. And again, we're talking about 8 teams total, so it's not like I'm going deep. So Baltimore I like, and then Washington actually was going to be a secondary option for me here as well. So I would go to, I don't remember who I was going to go to over here. But
Turner, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, maybe
Turner,
maybe not so much for Washington. I thought they were, but I guess not. Oh yeah, Turner, Robles, Castro, Zimmerman. Ooh, Hernan Perez I have written down for some reason. Schwarber. So yeah, they're going to be a secondary stack for me.
Gotcha. All right. Ready for Oakland and Tampa Bay?
Yep.
All right. So I do think that so this is again number 6A or maybe number 7. I think Cole Irvin is actually interesting today, but I don't know that I'm going to end up doing it because the other guys in his price range, he's not one of my 5, but the other guys in his price range I like a little bit better. I actually think it's interesting. He has the second highest K prop on the slate. Yeah, so I actually think he's mildly interesting, but obviously it's going to be hard for me not to want to play Glasnow tonight, especially at home. So Glasnow is, I guess, number 1 for me right now. It's close, but I think he's number 1.
For me, Glasnow is number 1 as well. And obviously one of my top 5 because he's number 1. And I did not get to Irvin as one of my top 5. And I did not get to either of these hitting units in any of my stacks or one-offs, actually.
Yeah, I would. The only guy I wanted to mention is your guy, Rosarena. 4,400 is a very fair price, and I don't mind him. But okay. I'm not especially interested in anybody else from this game. Ready for the next one?
Okay. You want to move on?
Chicago, Atlanta.
Is this your shot? Are you going to take a shot with the Yanoa?
I think you're supposed to, but I didn't have him.
Okay, all right. I was wondering. Okay, it's not it.
I didn't have him as one of my guys, and it's not that I don't like him. It's just that I like another play in his range a little bit more, and in Marquee, and Wood was not much more, but.
See, that's why Bobby's the worst. He's like, he has to.
I'm trying to do it. I thought we wanted us to correct it.
You just couldn't keep it to yourself. You had to just tell people what it was, So he gave it away. He said Wood and Marquee. There was 4. It's only 4 now. Actually 3. So Glasnow, Marquee, and Wood are 3 of his 5, and I'm gonna get to whether they're part of my 5 when we get there.
Nice. So I do think the Cubs are an interesting stack.
Sure.
I think that the prices have gotten a little bit out of hand. You don't necessarily need to fully stack them, but you can, again, Bodie's 2,800. Mm-hmm. Who knows what's happening with Ian Happ and where he's going to hit, but Horner is 2,800, been leading off. Rizzo's 3,900, and there's good reason for some of these guys. They've been struggling, but I love the hitting conditions in Atlanta. I'm a big fan of maybe a little mini stack or whatever, depending on where they fall in the lineup, with some sort of Bodie, Horner, Rizzo, or something like that. I think that that's interesting. It's not a primary stack for me, but it is a stack that I'm looking at as a secondary stack. And I will mention just again that, in my opinion, the best player on every slate is Ronald Acuna. Did you see the ball he hit last night?
No.
He hit the thing. They said it was 481 feet. I think it was like 581 feet. It was an absolute mammoth job, this guy. So I will just go back to that. I think he is like the best, always the best one-off play that there is in baseball, if you can afford him. But he is expensive.
Rizzo, Bode, Hayward, Happ, and Bryant would be my Cubs. And the Cubs for me are one of those secondary stacks alongside of Washington and Baltimore. Those are 3 of the 5 second tier stacks for me.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. Philly, St. Louis. We've got Velasquez and and
rain.
I hope it rains. I'm always he's not even on my list right now, but I'm always a sucker for taking a shot with Velasquez. And at 6.5, I probably would be at least a little mildly tempted to have him on this list of 6 or 7 pitchers now that it's grown. But I don't think I would. And I don't think I'm going to, and especially because the weather concerns makes it easier for me. But I don't really have a lot of love for these offenses, which feels kind of wrong if the game does in fact play okay. I don't know, Sheets. What do you got here?
I have literally zero.
So we're sort of
I
on
have,
the same page.
I have neither pitcher, and I have not a hitter for
Well, it's weird. I don't have a weather report for this specific game, and that's strange. I have.
Actually, that is not true. I actually have, not as my top, as my sixth pitcher, I actually have Vince Velasquez in 6,500.
I don't understand how this game is playing. You do have Velasquez, but
Yeah.
you said there's rain, but I can't even see a weather on this. That's really weird. I'm on MLB right now.
I don't know. I just see a cloud up on in the DraftKings thing.
It's almost treating it like it's a. But I actually it's when I did my thing last night, I thought that's what I saw. But it's almost like treating the Cardinals as if they had played in a dome, which they don't. That's weird. I don't know what to do with that. But I guess, yeah, I mean, sorry, go ahead. So you do have a little interest.
I do have as my sixth. I mean, again, my top five are like much better than my sixth.
Right.
But just so you know, you had a sixth guy, so Herman, right? So my sixth guy is going to be Velasquez.
Yeah. And by the way, I think that both, I'm not going to do it. Again, this is what you have to do with baseball. It sucks because you have to consider everything. But I don't want to be the guys who just say over and over, oh, you could do this, you could do this, you could do this. But I do want to point out, these are extremely viable stacks. I just am not going to stack these teams. Is that a fair enough way to do it? I've always been told by people that they like that I said that stuff.
Well, what's interesting is also somebody commented on the YouTube video yesterday that Sheets, you're turning into Bobby. You're saying fine every. I'm like, I didn't even realize that. Because that's usually a little too diplomatic for me. With respect to fine, you know.
Yeah.
I'm more inclined as to if I don't get any part of them, I would say that, I mean, really, if you're going to play 150 lineups, you almost want to have some of everybody. You know what I mean? Like, just because of the way baseball. You just
want to be careful though too, because you can. It's really easy to spread and then have like one piece missing in your lineup, and that right. 208 score is not 212, and the 212 would have won you 100K. The 208 get you $50. It's just so frustrating when that happens. Baseball is rough, man. It goes. It's. I don't know. It's a really been a rough patch for me with baseball this year so far. All right, you ready to move on to the next one?
Yep.
Okay, so we've got the Angels and Rangers. Maybe I don't have. I mean, I know I do have 5 pitchers. I've got them written down, but for some reason, we're not coming across any of them. I could certainly understand an argument for Alex Cobb. I am not going to do it myself, but I definitely think he's reasonable, especially against this high strikeout Rangers team. And other than that, I think that the Angels are looking good. Their offense is starting to come together a little bit. You got too cheap Ohtani, who's a really good play, too cheap Rendon, who's a good play. I have a feeling I'm still going to mostly be a little bit away from this game, pointing out like you have this year that, you know, maybe Dunning, other than when he faces his former team, by the way, which he got rocked. Maybe he's actually not all that bad. Has only given up 1 home run this season. Only 4 extra base hits in his 4 starts. I'm okay with sort of skipping these bats in this game for the most part, outside the ones I mentioned. And the one other guy I want to mention is, well, Gallo's too cheap, but Nate Lowe, I mean, come on. Every day with this freaking guy. He didn't hit a home run yesterday. I swear I got a message that he hit a home run. But it feels like every time I even think about playing him, he hits a home run. Gallo did hit a home run yesterday. Oh no, it was the day before with Lowe. Gallo, when he gets going, he tends to be fairly streaky and really gets going. So I do have interest in those guys as one-offs a little bit, I guess.
Okay, so I have a couple of thoughts here. First of all, I do like the Angels as my as one of the secondary stacks. I think Ohtani is ridiculously cheap at 4,200.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. The other thing I would say is that maybe the reason why, especially with the NBA, I've been struggling a little bit is maybe my perception of what people are going to do is really off. I would have laid, I swear to God, I mean, honestly, 5-1 odds that your 5th pitcher was going to be Alex Wood, as opposed to the guy who it's probably going to be, which is going to be, Alex Cobb, sorry. Alex Cobb.
Because
I would
Alex
have
Cobb
bet
is my fifth pitcher. It's like,
what? No,
Alex
I mean
Cobb is my fifth
no,
pitcher.
Alex Cobb. I would have bet laid 5-1 that it was Alex Cobb instead of who I now think no, it's going to be, because I've never would have thought that we would have had the same five, because I'm pretty sure we're going to have the same five now. I would have bet anything that between all of your anti-Ranger talk all year, right? And how Alex Cobb has really been feeling. You like the younger guy, you like the guys that have been coming along. I would have bet anything that it was going to be Alex Cobb, and I would have been wrong. He's not my top five either, but I just was 100% sure. All right, Bob, Alex Cobb, right? That's going to be your fifth. So shows what the hell I know. I do have Alex Cobb as my seventh, if that means anything. Probably not much. But yeah, so that's pretty much my only thoughts is as I do like the Angels a little bit, and starting with Ohtani.
One thing that does work also in Cobb's favor, if you were to go that route, I'm still not thinking I'm doing it, but you do have a good pitcher's umpire there, just to throw it out there, and that's helpful, especially to a guy like Cobb. So he might be revisited a little bit later on, but we'll figure that out on the 6 Eastern show. All right, you want to move over to the next one?
Yeah, so I presume that Rodon is one of your top five. He's my top two. He's my second guy, and if you could get Glass now and Rodon in the in a lineup together, you could get 60 fantasy points plus out of that sometimes.
Yep.
And he's got a nice matchup. He's obviously been bringing the heat this year, with varying success. But for the most part, been bringing the heat. And the Tigers, even though they can be scrappy, they already did a nice job against Giolito yesterday. You can't beat all the aces. so Rodon, I think Rodon's obviously one of the top spots. I did not get to you talk about like, well, who don't you have that you wish you had. I didn't get to any of the White Sox, and I guess that's going to be my downfall tonight, because I don't have them in my top stacks. I don't have them in my secondary. I don't have them anywhere. So try to talk me into a little of that. Try to emphasize or talk me off of Rodon. And I did not get to Casey Mize. I doubt that's going to be your fifth, but if it is, I'll be very surprised. What are your thoughts on this game? Yeah,
so I do like Rodon. He's my number two right now, but I partly like him also. This is pretty ugly weather in Chicago, and I just want to 2-second rant. I am so tired of umpires. I think it's the dumbest thing. They are just the dumbest thing. Not only that, they're extraordinarily bad. I don't know if any out there has watched baseball this year. These guys are so incredibly bad. I mean, look at the Yankees game last night. Every ball that was off the plate by about 6 inches was called a strike. And every ball that was literally like right over the middle of the plate was called high. I was like, what the hell is going on? Get a freaking robot in there and do it the right way. I hate that we even have to consider umpire data. I'm sorry. That's real quick and done. The other thing is this weather is cold and it's stopping me from really making the White Sox my top stack. I understand that they let me down last night. Nobody's going to play them tonight. I actually like the matchup a lot with Mize for them. They're hard to get to. They're expensive. So like I said, they're going to be low owned. And I think that you could definitely do worse than them. I just don't love playing the one of the cooler temperature games on the slate with a good pitcher's umpire, which is good for Rodon, but obviously not as good for the stack. So that's my I probably will end up with a White Sox stack, but they're falling a little beneath the other ones for me right now, and it's largely due to weather and the pitch and the umpire.
Okay.
Houston, Seattle.
Seattle, Houston.
Yep. So this is the one I don't think you're gonna like, and that's Greinke. I'm debating prioritizing him ahead of Rodon. I probably won't. I'm flirting with it. I'm curious to see where the ownership comes in. People don't like to play him as much, but everyone likes to play everybody against Seattle. We did get an umpire information, and this is not an extreme umpire, but he does lean slightly hitter umpire wise, which gives a little bit of a downgrade to Greinke. The one thing I'd say is that Greinke, look, this guy in real life this year has really had one bad outing. Other than that, he's been absolutely awesome. Now, doesn't always translate to fantasy. He was terrific in his last out. Well, terrific in the sense that he only, whatever, he pitched 7 innings. He did give up 10 hits. He's been letting people make a lot of contact. But what you like about Greinke is he doesn't walk people. He moves along. If you could add a couple extra Ks in there, I could easily see him being ahead of Rodon on this slate. But it's, as of right now, I don't quite have him there. I have him beneath Rodon, but I do think that in terms of projected fantasy points, I would have him, I think, 4th on the slate of of all my pitchers.
What about the hitting? You like Houston?
Yeah, I do like Houston. They're one of the better stacks to me, and it's the usual names. If we're gonna play them, do it right. They're expensive. Again, it's gonna be hard to get everybody in. You can use straw as a way of maybe doing that. I think that they might actually be lower owned because their prices are. I keep saying that about a lot of teams, but it really is going to be hard to fit a full stack in because you want to play Bregman and Altuve. You're going to have to forget about Brantley at 5,500 because it's just kind of crazy. Alvarez a little better, but 5,400. I mean, it's going to be Kyle Tucker at the bottom of the order, and then Correa's 5,800. I mean, this is crazy. It's going to be hard to play them. So if you can find a way to play them. Maybe there's this day might be the first day I'll say you really do need to worry about a ton of money on pitching because we'll get some value plays. By the way, Sheets, real quick, other thing, every value play went nuts yesterday. Like everyone hit a home run. Taylor and
I was just like Mike Kiermaier got double-digit fantasy points at 5% ownership.
I know, but the thing is he was the worst of all of them. That's
I know.
The other guys all hit, like Tyrone Taylor. It was 3 for 4 with a home run and a double, and then the other guy hit a home run. Hernandez. Anyway, but yeah, so maybe if you can mix in a couple minimum cost guys with these guys, you can stack their infield, which will give you the option because the outfield will generally have the best value. So I'm just throwing it out there. I think Houston is right up there with Toronto, with the and ahead of the White Sox for me right now so far.
First from the hitting, I think Toronto is one of the top 3, along with the Yankees and Houston we talked about. Let me tell you, when I ran my stuff this morning, I was so happy, and the reason why is wow, I actually not only do I actually like Zach Greinke, but Bobby is never going to think that I'm going to like Zach Greinke.
Oh, nice.
So I actually am in. I like him. I was almost hoping when I ran it, I didn't even know who he was playing, and I was hoping he wasn't playing anybody that that people like to target. So maybe he'll really low owned. But you can't have it both ways. You can't have him rate well and be against a really good team, right? So I like Greinke as one of my top 5. I don't think I've played him since the Eisenhower administration. And he's certainly from a price perspective, a nice pivot off of Rodon, as you were mentioning. And you know what? No offense, Glass now, but the last outing you weren't so hot either. And if he doesn't do so well, he's a pivot off of him too. And I like it, man. I mean, look, he's not like my top 2, and I don't have him up as far as Rodon goes. But you have to think that even though they're playing Seattle, he's going to be clearly, a fraction of the ownership of both of those guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I like the Greinke on DraftKings. I did, yeah. And you know what? I have him as my second best on FanDuel. I like him better than I think than Rodon on the FanDuel for some reason. So
I get that. Actually, that makes sense to me because Rodon can occasionally get a little bit wild, and one thing about Greinke is he will pitch those 6 innings almost every time.
Yeah. So I'm into that. By the way, just not to forget, I don't like Justin Dunn on the Seattle side, but although I will continue to say that he's not as bad as people think. That you get him a good matchup, he won't be that terrible. Okay. But today is not the day. So yeah, and I like the Houston thing, and as you mentioned, it's gonna be tough to get them in. I might have to eat it and play and like you said, play Kyle Tucker heading 7th or whatever the hell he might bat, or Straw to make it work, which makes you wonder whether you should even do it in the first place, like you were saying. But
right,
that's where I'm at in this game, and there you go.
Yeah. All right, over to San Diego and Arizona. I have zero interest in the pitching in this game. And I don't care that teams are going to struggle some nights. It's just the way baseball goes. I am going to be all over San Diego, and I actually don't mind a little bit of Arizona. I'll let the roof dictate whether I want to do that. Slight pitcher's umpire here. So it's not ideal, but in fact, looking at Arizona's lineup, I'm not actually all that excited about it. But I don't mind trying to take some shots here against Weathers. But I think that San Diego is one of the better stacks in the slate, and it's going to be probably fairly high owned, especially when it comes to Tatis and Machado. Actually, outside of those two, I don't think it will be particularly high owned. Maybe Cronenworth on DK at 3,500. Maybe Hosmer will get a little bit of love, but it won't be much. So I have San Diego as probably I would put them ahead of. Well, they're right there with Houston. It's hard to get Houston's pricing in, but I would say that realistically, Toronto, Padres, Houston, and the White Sox are my favorites on this slate.
I have San Diego a little worse. I have them with the other group and not with the top group. I think that's where your fourth one came in that didn't make mine. I'm going to say this. He's not going to project well, whatever it is, but I might try Weathers. He looked very, very passable against the Dodgers when he played them.
He did.
And,
it's really well.
And you know what? That's good enough for me. You know what I mean? Like, if he's going to be passable against the Dodgers, and that's also they saw him the game before, right? So he pitched against them twice, and he put the full into the sixth inning, giving up one hit with one walk and 6 strikeouts.
Yeah, but that's scary because that means you have to be that efficient to try and get 20 fantasy points.
Yeah, I guess.
It is the Dodgers, so
and this is a Dodgers down to Arizona downgrade. I mean,
yeah, no, it's true.
I don't know. If I find myself with a whatchamacallit, like a chalky lineup with like Alex Wood or like, you know what I mean, like one of those that I know is going to get ownership between Wood and who the other 7,300 guy. I don't know, there's another 7,300 guy. Or Marquez or something like that, because I don't think Marquez is going to be very popular tonight.
It's weird because he gave up nothing against the Dodgers in those games, but like one of those games, he threw 80 pitches, he pitched 3 2/3 innings. Like
I saw that. I saw that.
But then again, it is the Dodgers who will make.
Well, and they have him listed as an RP, which means they didn't probably expect him to start.
He's a relief pitcher. He's not a. I mean, they're turning him into a starter right now, but I don't know how. I don't know.
11, 31, 79. 89. I mean,
and it'll probably be in that 80-ish range, but could be a very short night, in my opinion. I still am not impressed with them. I think you get some weird. The Dodgers have this one weird look. They've had a lot of flaws these last week or so, but in general, they have this weird flaw against sort of these like non-power lefties. Really give them trouble sometimes. So. Yeah, but I hear you. He just didn't make it for me.
I think, by the way, we go into this last game.
Yeah.
I think that if Marquez gets to be too chalky, I think it's just a clear freaking San Francisco stack night. I know that Marquez is good. I mean, better than whatever because he pitches in Coors, and coming out of Coors into San Francisco is one of the best shift you can make. San Francisco is just murdering it.
I know.
So I'm before I go freaking nuts on playing German Marquez against the hottest team in baseball. I shouldn't say it like that, but you know what I mean. I'm not 100% sure I want to do that. As a matter of fact, I think that if these San Francisco ownerships even resemble like low-owned guys, I mean, I think that's a really nice way to late night hammer leverage if you want. So that's my opinion on this. I do have Marquez as one of my top 5 pitchers in and of itself, right? And I also have Alex Wood as one of my top 5 pitchers in and of themselves. I actually have a lot more faith in the Alex Wood side of it than the Marquez side of it. I just am not particularly impressed with Colorado's hitting ever on the road. And that's where I'm at in this game.
Yeah, the only thing that worries me, I think Marquez is the best pitcher on the slate of everybody. I actually think that if he was like 9,500, I would probably consider taking him over Rodon. This is not a guy who belongs in this price tier, in my opinion. You get him out of Coors, and I understand the Giants have been hitting the ball. I'm absolutely not even the slightest bit afraid. This guy's had to face the Phillies at home. the Mets at home,
Dodgers.
the Dodgers at home, and then he had Arizona in there too. It's rough, man, when you're pitching in Colorado all the time. And I would say that he was freaking awesome his last 2 times out. And if that was anywhere else, he probably is. I mean, you're looking at potential complete game stuff. He looked really, really good. And people got to remember, this guy was one of the better pitchers in baseball a few years ago. And we haven't had regular continuation. Like last year was not a real season to gauge people where they're at, except for contending teams, because those were the only teams that were really playing. I love Marquez tonight, and right now he's my main guy. I don't mind if you want to flip it and go on the other side with Wood. I don't think a whole lot of this Rocky lineup. It does feel weird all of a sudden that Alex Wood, for years we couldn't play him, and now he's 8,300 and we're all jumping on board. But I love the matchup. I actually think Wood has always been a much, much better pitcher than anyone's given credit for. Outside of Derek Carty, I will say Derek Carty has given Alex Wood the appropriate amount of credit, because years ago, he was always on the fact that, that he was like a hidden secret. He's a really, really good pitcher. Or he was a really good pitcher. And
what'd you call it?
What's that? Carty said.
What was that phrase?
What did I say?
Hidden seeker?
Hidden. No, I didn't say that. I don't know if I said that. I didn't mean to.
Okay.
No, he's a hidden secret.
Oh, hidden secret. Okay, sorry about that.
It's just because with the Dodgers, he had such a pitch count. That was when the Dodgers were playing like 5 innings for their pitchers, like for a couple years. So people were like, Alex Wood would go out there and just dominate for 5 innings, but only throw like 65 pitches. So you couldn't really play him in DFS. Anyway, all that's out the window. He's good now. I like both the pitchers in this game. I understand that the Giants have been really hot, but it's too hard for me to resist the Marquez thing. And I'll go further. I think you should bet, like, I don't know. I might play Marquez on FanDuel.
Yeah, hey, now you're in my world.
Yeah. I really think there's a good chance he ends up being the best pitcher of the night if Glasnow doesn't have his ultimate Glasnow performance.
I would also like to say, this is not the time to even have the discussion, but for those of you that are wondering why Charlie Blackmon is 3,700, it's because he's probably 1,000 overpriced. I mean, like he can't do anything right now. I mean, he's like done. I don't know what's going on with him. He can't get good swings at home. There was one where I had him, and it looked like he hit at home, and he looked like he hit the ball 1,000 yards, and it just like barely made the warning track. I don't know what's going on over there, but I mean, I'm looking through this Colorado lineup, and like the only guy who can hit right now is McMahon, and he's a lefty, right? Story's like the only righty on this team. I'm the slightest bit nervous.
I mean, yeah, it's Story historically, pretty. I mean, unbelievable against lefties.
Well, it's amazing. It's lefties. That's so he can walk him. I mean, so I do. By the way, think that I reiterate my comments. I agree with what you said and what I said. I think that Marquez is certainly one of the top pitchers on the slate. And I think that San Francisco is kind of almost an elite leverage stack against it. So that would be my. We have
one other, like, we're funny because we're on sort of opposite sides of this a little bit.
Okay.
I think that the Colorado side of it is interesting.
Ooh, okay, here we go.
I never play Colorado outside of Colorado, but I don't think Zach, Cron and Story. Cron has been unbelievable. He's been on fire. Homered 3 out of the last 5 games. Actually 4 out of the last 6, and yeah, he's 4K at first base against the lefty. These guys are both excellent against lefties. They're really cheap for them because they're not playing Colorado. So really, it would just be a 2-man. But I really like both of those guys as one-offs. I have them written down. So, but I still like Wood overall, and I'm leaning that way. But as one-offs go, an unowned Trevor Story and CJ Cron, I think, is interesting.
Okay, so there's a lot going on in the later games between the Houston Seattle game, which we could have, we could be pivoting there with Greinke. Mm-hmm. We have Colorado San Francisco, which is probably, I think both those guys are going to get owned. If you want to know the truth.
You think Cron and Story are?
No. The pitchers. I mean.
Oh, the pitchers for sure.
Yeah, they're both going to get owned. No, I do not believe that Cron and Story are going to get owned at all.
Yeah, I was like, wow, this is the hot take.
Because, like you said, I mean, like they're not going to be like Colorado's stack is just no one's going to play that because it's like I just said, the only guys that you even want to play are lefties usually.
Yeah.
Those lefties, and again, now you don't want to do that against Wood. So who are you going to play? Like you said, Cronin, Story, and then the rest of your stacks kind of falls apart. So which means that Cronin, Story individually are probably going to be really, really low owned. Right? So yeah, that's really, really good leverage against Wood as well. So that's I don't know, maybe that game could be a little that could be a slate determinator. You know, when look, the Yankees are going to get a lot of ownership. Toronto's getting a lot of ownership. You know, that's better put those scores up there. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, we're going to get back with some NBA, and then we'll do some golf. And yeah, Sheets, anything else before we get out of here?
Nope. Fire up the NBA.
All right.
God help us.